Yeah, but so there's still, I mean, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Like, I mean, everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued like we talked about. There has been some updates in the Diddy $100 million default judgment that we reported on earlier this week.
Here's something to think about. What if one of the most influential figures in entertainment is being subjected to the kind of treatment that seems ripped straight from a thriller movie? Sean Diddy Combs, the man who once stood at the pinnacle of hip-hop and business success, is now sitting in one of the most notorious detention centers in the United States. But according to his legal team, the story doesn't end with his incarceration. They claim Diddy is being subjected to horrific treatment behind bars. Treatment so severe it seems designed to break him down and force him to spill secrets about some of the most powerful people in Hollywood and beyond. Let's unpack what's going on because this story is much darker than it appears on the surface.
What prosecutors were arguing is not only does your client pose a flight risk, because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago. They were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them.
Diddy, once the king of parties and a self-made mogul, now finds himself locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a facility that has been described as a hellish nightmare by inmates and even judges. His charges include allegations of exploitation and misconduct, but his lawyers argue that the conditions of his detention are unimaginable, even for someone accused of serious crimes. They're painting a picture of a man no longer in control of his empire, but instead being systematically broken down in a facility infamous for its brutality. The Metropolitan Detention Center is no ordinary jail. It's a place where chaos reigns, and survival often feels like a game of chance. Inmates have long reported inhumane conditions, overcrowding, rampant violence, and a staggering lack of oversight. This isn't just hearsay. There have been documented incidents of physical confrontations between inmates, mysterious illnesses spreading unchecked, and even multiple cases of individuals taking their own lives due to the mental strain of the environment. For someone like Diddy who has lived a life of luxury, the shift to this grim reality must be jarring, to say the least. And yet, it's not just the baseline horrors of the jail that are raising eyebrows. It's what his lawyers are alleging about how he's being treated specifically.
Because,
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
According to his defense team, Diddy isn't simply being detained like the other inmates. They claim he's being isolated in ways that go beyond standard procedure. Reports suggest he's being kept under constant surveillance, with limited contact with the outside world and almost no ability to communicate freely with his legal team. His lawyers argue that this isn't just about protecting the integrity of the jail or ensuring he doesn't flee. They believe it's part of a larger effort to apply psychological pressure on him, the goal to get him to talk. But talk about what?
Sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping.
Here's where things get murky. For years, rumors have swirled about Diddy's infamous parties, the glitz, the glamour, and the whispered stories of what went on behind closed doors. These weren't just any parties. These were gatherings where some of the world's most powerful people rubbed shoulders with celebrities, politicians, and business tycoons. And according to some sources, these events were allegedly documented, every laugh, every drink, every private moment, on hidden cameras. If true, this means Diddy might hold evidence that could expose some of the biggest names in Hollywood and beyond. Think of it, a treasure trove of footage that could ruin reputations, end careers, and even upend political power.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
This possibility has sparked a firestorm of conspiracy theories. Some speculate that the intense pressure Diddy is facing in jail is less about his own alleged wrongdoing and more about the secrets he might be holding. His lawyers claim he's being subjected to torturous conditions, constant isolation, sleep deprivation, and relentless psychological games. This is not standard treatment, even for someone facing serious legal trouble. It's as if someone, somewhere, wants to ensure that he breaks down and hands over whatever incriminating information he might have. But who would benefit from such a thing
to not be involved, or famous singer to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those, this is what I heard, they're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out.
To understand the stakes, you have to look at the kind of influence Diddy wielded at his peak. He wasn't just a music mogul, he was a gatekeeper to the upper echelons of fame and fortune. His network extended far beyond the hip-hop world. From iconic figures in entertainment to politicians and corporate executives, Diddy's guest lists read like a who's who of power players. And if the rumors are true, many of these individuals might have let their guard down at his gatherings, unaware that their actions could be immortalized on tape. It's not hard to imagine why some would go to extreme lengths and why some would go to extreme lengths to ensure those alleged tapes never see the light of day.
Did you ever spend time with the guy? Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart, super business. He's very successful.
But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. While these theories are compelling, they remain unproven. What is undeniable, however, is the brutal nature of Diddy's current living conditions. The Metropolitan Detention Center has a reputation for being one of the harshest facilities in the country. Judges have openly criticized the jail, calling it an ongoing tragedy, and even refusing to send defendants there because of the horrendous conditions. Inmates report being confined to their cells for up to 23 hours a day, with limited access to showers, fresh air, or even basic medical care. It's a place where despair festers, and survival often hinges on sheer mental and physical resilience. And yet, Diddy's situation appears to go beyond the standard horrors of MDC Brooklyn. His lawyers argue that he's being specifically targeted. They claim he's kept in near total isolation, with no contact allowed except under the strictest supervision. Even his phone calls are reportedly monitored to an extreme degree. His legal team has also suggested that he's being denied adequate sleep, a tactic often used to break down a person's mental defenses. This is not just about confinement. It's about control. If these allegations are true, then someone is clearly trying to send a message. But the question remains, to whom?
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
Interestingly, this isn't the first time we've seen high-profile figures subjected to unusual treatment in custody. Jeffrey Epstein's case immediately comes to mind. The disgraced financier, who was also accused of exploiting vulnerable individuals, allegedly had ties to some of the most powerful people in the world. His mysterious demise in custody fueled countless conspiracy theories, with many believing he was silenced to protect others. Could Diddy's situation be heading in a similar direction? His lawyers certainly seem to think so. They've pointed to the parallels between the two cases, arguing that Diddy's treatment is less about justice and more about extracting information, or perhaps ensuring his silence.
Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people for sure on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures. And entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein himself? And
of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
The public, too, has picked up on these eerie similarities. Social media is abuzz with speculation, with some arguing that Diddy is being used as a scapegoat to distract from larger issues. Others believe he's being punished for stepping out of line, a warning to anyone else who might think about challenging the status quo. And then there are those who see his situation as part of a broader pattern of targeting influential Black men in positions of power. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear. This case has struck a nerve, and it's not going away anytime soon. Adding to the intrigue is the role of Diddy's legal team. They've been vocal about the alleged mistreatment he's facing, filing motion after motion to try to secure his release. They've proposed an extensive home confinement plan, complete with 24/7 monitoring by private security, limited phone access, and strict visitor logs. But prosecutors have pushed back hard, arguing that Diddy poses a danger to the community and cannot be trusted to abide by the terms of his release. They've cited his alleged attempts to influence witnesses and control the narrative around his case as evidence that he remains a liability.
The plaintiff. So basically what that means is the money that they're saying Diddy has to start paying this guy on October 1st, right. Diddy's team is like, hold on, we need an emergency conversation about why this should not have been granted. Mm-hmm. And they awarded him a TRO, which basically meant that Diddy's team was not allowed to sell any property in that state or anything related to what could be used to pay the plaintiff.
This back and forth between the defense and the prosecution has only added fuel to the fire. every court appearance becomes another spectacle, with Diddy supporters and critics alike hanging on every word. His family has been spotted in the courtroom, offering emotional support while his legal team fights tooth and nail to get him out of NDC Brooklyn. But so far, the judge has sided with the prosecution, leaving Diddy to endure the harsh conditions of the detention center. And those conditions are no joke. Reports from inside NDC Brooklyn paint a grim picture. Violence is a daily reality, with inmates often left to fend for themselves in an environment that feels more like a battlefield than a correctional facility. Overcrowding means that resources are stretched thin, and even basic necessities like food and medical care are in short supply. In this environment, mental health deteriorates rapidly, and the risk of harm is ever present. For someone like Diddy, who is accustomed to a life of privilege, the contrast must be staggering.
Problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see. These are allegations.
But is there more to this story than meets the eye? Diddy's lawyers seem to think so, and they're not alone. Whispers of a larger conspiracy have been circulating for months, with some suggesting that Diddy's current predicament is part of a broader effort to protect powerful interests. The idea is that by keeping him isolated and under extreme pressure, those who might be implicated in his alleged tapes can rest easy, knowing that their secrets are safe. As the case unfolds, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This is not just about Diddy. It's about the systems of power and influence that operate behind the scenes, shaping our world in ways most of us can only imagine. Whether or not the conspiracy theories hold water, they've tapped into a deep well of public suspicion about the intersection of fame, power, and corruption. And as Diddy's story continues to develop, it's likely to raise even more questions about who really holds the reins in our society and what they're willing to do to keep their grip.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very, very...
Who's getting the money, though?
And that brings us to the heart of the matter. What happens next? Will Diddy crack under the pressure and reveal whatever secrets he might be holding? Or will he manage to hold his ground despite the mounting odds against him? So here's where things start to get really interesting. We're not just talking about Diddy's arrest or the brutal conditions he's allegedly enduring in the Brooklyn Detention Center. What's really driving people wild is the idea that this whole thing might not even be about him. What if Sean Diddy Combs is just the most visible piece of a much bigger chess game? What if the true targets are the untouchable power players, the ones pulling strings behind the scenes, who might be terrified of what Diddy knows, or what he might reveal if the pressure gets to him?
You're just like, it's there. I mean, it's not just there.
Yes.
It's everywhere. My news feed is dominated by it.
Yes.
Fox News, CNN, everyone. There's raids at Diddy's house.
Let's rewind for a second. Diddy has always been a larger-than-life figure. From his days revolutionizing hip-hop with Bad Boy Records to becoming a mogul with a net worth that put him near the top of the entertainment world, he's been a symbol of success. But in a business as cutthroat as entertainment, success often comes with secrets. And if the rumors are to be believed, those secrets didn't just stay in Diddy's inner circle. They were reportedly captured on film during his famous parties. Yes, the same over-the-top, invite-only events that were once the hottest ticket in town. These weren't your average celebrity gatherings. Diddy's parties were legendary, the kind of events that could make or break careers. Picture this: sprawling mansions and a guest list that included everyone from A-list actors to influential politicians. Some of the biggest names in the world reportedly mingled at these events, and the stories of what happened behind closed doors are enough to make anyone's jaw drop. But here's the kicker. There are whispers that Diddy allegedly had cameras installed all over his properties. Not the kind you'd notice either. These were supposedly hidden in places no one would think to look, quietly recording everything.
I mean, that's what people were saying, and maybe everybody's a conspiracy theorist now, but that's what people were saying about the Diddy situation. Like when the feds rolled up, with the Hummers and shit, they're like, it wasn't about Diddy, it was about if there were tapes of powerful people there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
They were the ones that called. They're like, I need to protect myself, so go in there with all the things and rip any tapes or any evidence.
Now, imagine the kind of footage those cameras might have captured. We're talking about some of the most powerful people in Hollywood politics and business letting their guard down in a way they never would in public. According to certain sources, this wasn't just about documenting wild nights. It was about leverage. In an industry where power is currency, having dirt on the right people could be worth more than any record deal or endorsement. And that's where the conspiracy theories start to take shape.
Everybody who tells the stories like, I saw I go upstairs and these dudes are fucking like right on the couch.
Yeah.
And then I go in this room and these guys are fucking, and it's like.
And pros. Like apparently he was getting male gigolos, girls.
girls.
Yeah, that was one of the rumors, like the
Male
freak off. So he would
gigolos.
hire the professional to have sex with the girls, and I think he would watch, allegedly. That was
Some believe that Diddy's current predicament might be less about the allegations against him and more about protecting these unseen figures. If those tapes, or even the threat of their existence, were to surface, it could send shockwaves through multiple industries. Careers could be ruined, companies could collapse, and reputations carefully built over decades could crumble overnight. Is it any wonder, then, that some people are speculating that the intense pressure Diddy is reportedly facing in jail isn't just about getting him to confess? What if it's about ensuring he stays silent? This isn't just idle gossip, either. Even before his arrest, there were signs that Diddy's connections might have been a little too close for comfort. Take, for example, the whispers about his ties to figures like Jeffrey Epstein. While it's important to note that no direct link has been proven, the parallels are hard to ignore. Both men were known for hosting extravagant gatherings that attracted the world's elite, and both have been accused, fairly or unfairly, of using those gatherings to gather compromising material on their guests. It's a pattern that raises some uncomfortable questions about what really happens in the upper echelons of power.
Someone said that they weren't there to take stuff, they were there to delete everything. Like the real people that were in there, you know.
Oh,
Like
that's
the same
funny.
thing with Epstein.
Oh, that's funny.
But let's bring this back to the present. Diddy's legal troubles have sparked a renewed wave of speculation about who might be implicated if he decides to talk, or if someone gets their hands on whatever footage he might have. And let's be clear, the list of potential names is staggering. We're talking about Hollywood royalty, Fortune 500 CEOs, and even high-ranking officials. If the rumors are true, some of the most respected figures in the world could have a lot to lose. Just look at the way the entertainment industry has reacted to the allegations. It's been oddly quiet, hasn't it? Sure, there's been some coverage, but not the kind of full-throttle media circus you might expect for someone as high-profile as Diddy. That silence has led some to wonder if there's more to this story than meets the eye. Could it be that certain powerful individuals are working behind the scenes to control the narrative? After all, if Diddy's downfall starts pulling others down with him, the fallout could be catastrophic.
These are all allegations that have become shockingly familiar against Diddy in recent months as he has faced lawsuit after lawsuit from women and men who have accused him of all manner of bad behavior.
And it's not just Hollywood that's watching this case closely. The political world might also have a vested interest in keeping things under wraps. Remember, Diddy wasn't just a music mogul. He was a cultural force. His campaign during the 2004 presidential election made waves, and he's been photographed with everyone from former presidents to global leaders. If even a fraction of the rumors about his parties are true, it's possible that some of those figures could be feeling a little nervous right now. What makes this even more intriguing is the timing. Diddy's arrest comes at a moment when public trust in institutions is at an all-time low. Conspiracy theories are no longer confined to the fringes. They're front and center in the cultural conversation. From allegations of Hollywood gatekeeping to the idea of secret societies controlling the world, people are more willing than ever to believe that things aren't as they seem. And Diddy's case has become a lightning rod for those suspicions.
Diddy has been under criminal investigation for months by federal prosecutors here in New York. And if there are criminal charges, many of them may look a lot like what some of these individuals have been describing.
Take, for instance, the theory that Diddy is being used as a scapegoat to distract from bigger scandals. Some believe that by focusing all the attention on him, the real culprits, the ones with the most to lose, can quietly distance themselves from the fallout. Others think this is part of a larger pattern of targeting influential figures in the Black community, a way to keep them from gaining too much power or influence. While there's no concrete evidence to support these claims, the fact that they're being discussed at all shows just how much distrust there is in the system. And then there's the role of the media. Several high-profile commentators have weighed in on the situation, each with their own theories about what's really going on. Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz, for example, recently discussed the possibility that the raids on Diddy's properties were less about him and more about finding evidence that could implicate others. Schultz even suggested that some of the powerful people who might appear in those alleged tapes could have been the ones pushing for the raids in the first place. It's a chilling thought, but one that fits neatly into the broader narrative of power and control.
On both sides, right? There's the people on the right that are trying to nail the people that are on the left with this. There's people that are journalists that are trying to nail the people that are involved in this.
This is it,
And they've managed to keep that list from coming out, which shows you how powerful certain people are. That should show you a lot. That should be terrifying.
Even Candace Owens has chimed in, pointing to West's past comments about Diddy as evidence that he might be connected to something much bigger. Yeah, never one to shy away from controversy. Once accused Diddy of being a government asset, a claim that seemed outlandish at the time but has taken on new weight in light of recent events. Owens echoed those sentiments, suggesting that Diddy's current situation might have less to do with justice and more to do with keeping certain truths hidden. And let's not forget about the other voices in this conversation. Comedian Eddie Griffin has used his platform to speculate about what he calls the Diddy conspiracy, weaving a narrative that connects the mogul's downfall to a broader effort to protect the powerful. While Griffin's take is undoubtedly laced with humor, it's hard to dismiss the underlying message that what we're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's The Interview, the series where we get in depth with amazing people, and I'm so honored to have this special guest with us here. Precious Muir, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, my love?
I'm great. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm making sure I center you a little bit more. There we go. So honored to have you here. You have some stories to tell. You've survived the white parties.
But here's the thing. For every theory that paints Diddy as a victim of larger forces, there's another that suggests he might not be as innocent as he claims. Some argue that the mogul's alleged actions were bound to catch up with him eventually, and that his current predicament is simply the result of years of bad behavior. Others believe that even if there is a conspiracy at play, it doesn't absolve Diddy of responsibility for his own choices. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. What's clear is that this case has tapped into something much bigger than Diddy himself. It's become a flashpoint for Diddy himself. It's become a flashpoint for discussions about power, corruption, and the lengths people will go to protect their secrets. Whether or not the conspiracy theories hold water, they've struck a chord with a public that's increasingly skeptical of the stories they're being told. So where does this leave us? Is Diddy a scapegoat, a villain, or something in between? And what happens if the pressure finally gets to him? Will he reveal the secrets that some believe he's been holding on to for years? Or will he stay silent, taking whatever knowledge he has to the grave? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more celebrity deep dives. Until next time, stay curious.